Welcome, everyone, to the latest recording of Insurance at 78 RPMs. I'm Connie Germano, Dual North America Chief Casualty Officer, and I'm joined by my fellow music lover and fantastic colleague, Dual North American Chief Property Officer. Hey, John, how are you today?
Great, Connie. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm
Good.
pretty excited about our guest today.
Yeah, as am I. The song choices will not make very many people's lists, but after they listen to them, I think they will. It's really going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's a great one. So today we're honored to have as our guest Brian McCarthy, Senior Vice President and Global Head of Other Property at Renaissance Re. I'm sure you'll find Brian's songs and insights as interesting as he is.
Brian, welcome to the podcast. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Where are you today?
I am in the southwest of coast of Ireland today. So it is one of these beautiful Irish summer days where it is frighteningly warm, but also raining at the same time. So it's exactly what we expect from an Irish summer.
Wonderful combination.
Yeah, perfect. Well, it's a perfect lead in to the beginning of the song choice and the discussion we're going to have today, and really looking forward to it. You picked some really interesting songs, frankly, I've never heard of, and anxious to talk about them a little bit. And of course, for our listeners, they'll all be on our Spotify playlist, Insurance at 78 RPMs. So the first song, and I'll be honest, I'd never heard of it. It's a song All In by the Frank and Walters Band, a band from Cork, Ireland. And I had to do a little research on this myself. It made it to number 11 on the UK charts in 1993. And before we talk about that song and sort of a little bit of an origin story for you and insurance, we thought we'd listen to that, a little bit of a snippet from it. So, Mariah, can you start it, please?
After all, I really love you. After all that we've been through, I know that we're fine, and our love gets pushed to the side. Still it ends alright. After all, I really need you.
So, a pretty catchy tune there. Brian, why did you choose that song?
Yeah, I guess Irish people tend to be quite proud to be from Ireland. And then within Ireland, people who are from that part of Ireland, Cork, which is where I'm from myself, tend to be quite proud to be from Cork. So I guess I was kind of in my formative years, beginning to enter my teens when that song hit the charts. So it's kind of always stuck with me. And I guess then probably got a bit of a revivement recently with specifically to a show that was made on my home city as well. So yeah, it just when asked about top 10 songs, it was just a no-brainer. And I think it all links back to pride of place as much as anything else, being from Cork.
So, in doing a little research on the song, they did mention that it did get a revival on this show. Can you tell us? I was going to do some research and try to explain to our audience what the show was, and I thought, well, wait a minute, I've got a guy here that probably knows it a lot better than I do. So, what was the show?
Yeah, I'll probably do it a massive disservice. It's about two teenagers from Cork who, let's say, would probably be more on the troubled side, not the greatest in school, etc. And their travails as they leave teenhood and enter into adulthood in particular. And I think for a time in Ireland, and particularly in Cork, it captured a lot of what, in a more farcical manner, what Cork was like growing up, particularly in the 90s and 2000s when I was there. So like, yeah, it resonates with me a lot. And is quite funny for anybody who hasn't seen it. It's probably worth seeing, The Young Offenders. So yeah, it kind of got a bit of a pride of place for people, particularly from, you get the sense, like, I guess people from Cork, and not to labour it, we like to think that we're the real capital of Ireland. We've kind of given up on Dublin, and we think Cork is the real capital of Ireland. So you kind of get that sense of confidence and air of definitely pride of place of where we're from.
How would you describe growing up in Cork in that time? What was it like?
Cork, while a city, is probably a large town in reality. So yeah, it was a great place to grow up. It was a great place to go to school. Also went to college there. Because I guess there was an element of safety to the place. When I look back at it now, of a lot of people knew a lot of people, so you were never too far away from somebody who knew you. While at the same time, it being just a nice place to live. So yeah, very, very happy childhood there, which I'm very appreciative to my parents for as much as anything else.
I just have to interject this, and I apologize. This has nothing to do with anything, but I did see a little social media post of an older lady recounting a story about her son saying how she just had he had the best childhood growing up, and it was just a perfect childhood, and all of that. And to which she replied, "Well, I'm glad he enjoyed it." It just makes me giggle when I hear, and the way she said it, and her nice old glasses and stuff. I mean, I just busted out laughing after that. I thought it was hilarious. So, to your point of growing up in Cork and actually attending university there, how did you make your way into insurance?
Yeah, it's a really good question. When I entered the college system, I entered with a focus on IT. I have a degree in computer science for my sins. And probably learned from that coding and heading down that direction was probably not for me. I probably learned that midway through my second year of my 4-year degree. I stuck at it and did a master's in economics afterwards, just to kind of give myself a little bit of a broader scope as I thought about entering the workforce. And was looking at financial services more broadly after I came out of the college system, and knew nothing about reinsurance. I'll be brutally honest about that. Knew nothing about reinsurance. And I guess it was probably a line within the job description for Renaissance Re that caught me. Travel to Bermuda, and applied for it. And luckily, 20 years later, still there. So yeah, got a lot of an opportunity to step into it, but wasn't versed in reinsurance prior to going for interview there. Learned pretty quickly and got quite interested in it thereafter.
That's quite extraordinary that you've been one place your entire career. That's not normal anymore, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah. I get asked that question a bit of, specifically what is it? And I think people generally go to work for 3 different reasons. Obviously, compensation is one, but being challenged and liking the people that you work with are equally as important. And I think I was lucky, entered Renry when we were a smaller company, call it around 100 people when I would have joined, and we're now just shy of 1,000 people. So I got a lot of opportunity to take on accountability early. And then culturally, it was just a really nice place to work and learn from people. And probably very privileged that people committed as much time early in their career to me as they did. So yeah, I guess there's no secret sauce to it as such, but it's just a nice place to work.
Yeah. I just wanted to wrap up a little bit on the song. Bassist and vocalist, I think Paul Lennon pronounced his name. I think I got that right. He said he described the song as a celebration of life and the value of relationships, even when they have their ups and downs. And so, of course, I listened to the song over and over, and it's on my playlist now. It's a very catchy sort of love song, but I think that explanation serves as a measure of our insurance world. Would you agree with that? And would you agree with that statement as respects so far your career?
Yeah, I think relationships in all parts of your life play a very important component, whether it's from personal relationships with spouse or other, all the way through to working relationships. Obviously, the data that we have at our fingertips now informs from an insights perspective, but understanding the people that you're engaging with, it's really important, and it's important to our industry, and it's important that we foster that down into the upcoming talent that we have. You take the relationships that we have on the delegated underwriting side, which is, John, where I got to know you and Connie through our syndicate and Lloyd's. I guess providing our pen for people to underwrite on our behalf is not something that we would do lightly. And the trust and understanding that we get, not just from the data that's provided to us, but also from understanding the underwriting that goes into those portfolios. Yeah, it's similar to any part of your life. You need to build up and understand that, and understand the back and forth that naturally happens through over a course of a 10, 20, 50-year relationship. So yeah, I would agree totally with your synopsis there, that it is similarly for our insurance industry as much as it is for anything that goes on in life.
I still believe that even down the road with AI and all of these new things that are coming, that those relationships are still going to matter. Do you feel like they're going to be diminished over time, or do you still feel like they're really going to drive, success in what we do in the industry?
Yeah, very much a Brian McCarthy opinion here, but yeah, I think it is a relationship-based industry, and the trust and understanding that's built up with your clients over a period of time, that's really important for you to be able to support and put capital, which is our job within the chain to do so. It's really important. And improvements in efficiency and improvements in insight that will come from something like an AI, they contribute to that, but they don't completely replace it in my mind.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Connie, what do you think?
I love the way you put that. We are all struggling with this conversation right now, right? Where is AI going to take us? And we're absolutely a community of relationships. But what matters in a relationship is that you can trust each other. And I don't know that there's that level of trust beyond outside of that personal relationship, right? That's how you build the relationship. It's not just two people who know one another. It's two people who know one another and trust one another, and trust that the other person is going to do the right thing when given a choice to perhaps do the wrong thing, right?
Yep, agreed.
All right. Should we move to the next song?
Sure.
All right, good. So this is one I did not know. So thank you for bringing it to our attention. You've made your way from Ireland to London for work, and your work takes you all over the world. The second song we'd like to ask about is The Voyage. It's a song by Irish singer-songwriter Johnny Doohan. He first offered it to the Irish singer Christy Moore, whose 1989 recording became the most well-known version of the song, which is the one you selected. So, Mariah, can you play a little bit of this before we move on?
I am a sailor, you're my first mate. We signed on together, we coupled our fate. Hauled up our anchor, determined not to.
So, Brian, out of curiosity, why'd you choose this song?
I think elements of all the songs have something to do with different parts of my life as I look back on them. This song really reminds me we wouldn't have been the most musical family in the world. Um, though my brother's a musician. But this kind of does feel like something that my mother would play on a Sunday morning in the kitchen. So it's kind of stuck with me. And again, kind of try to pick your top 10 songs is difficult. So as I kind of reflect on myself as I thought about this song, it was probably back to that part of my life, as much as anything else, that really was the genesis in picking it. And yeah, I just think it's a beautiful song. And is kind of on my playlist as much as anything else.
Is that a song, for example, if you were going to a pub in Cork, you might hear on the over the system? Is it I don't want to say too Irish, but sort of too folksy for that kind of thing, or would you find it here in an old pub now?
Probably isn't upbeat enough for them to have it on as part of general. Where I would tend to find that is somebody would sing it at the end of a wedding, as kind of their party piece as much as anything else, or some form of event. So you will generally find that somebody within your group would have the ability to recite all the words better than I would. I'd be able to get the chorus. I'd be able to get the chorus for you. But yeah, it's quite, I will admit, it's quite living up to racial stereotype in the fact that it is quite Irish. But yeah, it just reminds me of that part of my life as much as anything else.
It's an absolutely beautiful tune. I mean, and if you're, like, to your point, if it's raining on Sunday morning and you put that on, I couldn't imagine not listening to it over and over. It's fantastic.
Well, originally, and John, you may know this too, according to Doohan, it was about marriage, but really you could apply the lyrics, I am a sailor, you're my first mate, we signed on together, we coupled our fate. You could expand that into partnerships and friendships, whether it's at home or in the workplace or with our friends. And we talked about partnerships and relationship really more so in the about the last song. In this song, how you see your voyage in the industry so far, and what partnerships do you look back on that made real impressions on you?
Yeah, it's I guess I go back to something I said earlier, and starting with Renry in what was then a small company, smaller company, of 100 people or so. I got a lot of opportunity early to engage with senior people within the organization who took their time to impart their knowledge and their insight on me, which I was very lucky to have. And I think that's something that almost sticks with me to today, is the amount of time when I was learning that people had to spend time coaching my understanding of reinsurance, insurance at that point in time. So it's very lucky. And as we talked about earlier, my voyage has maintained and stayed with Renry. I've worn a number of different hats over that period of time, all of which have been on the property side, whether the underwriting or the risk side of things. But yeah, I go back to when I started, whether it was Ian Brannigan, who was our chief risk officer at the time, through to those at the underwriting side who were two kind of countless dimension, who really committed their time to me. And that is something that I have a lot of thought of about the next generation of talent that's coming through, that I guess the onus now falls back on the likes of myself to do the same on the talent that's coming through.
Do you think when that was afforded you, that all of that time and energy, do you think that was part of the culture, or you just think you caught lightning in a bottle with a couple of really good people?
No, I think it's very culturally important to us that that commitment in the next generation, that commitment to talent coming through, that is really culturally important to us, and is something that I personally take very seriously. And I think as culture carriers within the organization, we need to ensure that we're committing that similar volume of time and energy back into our people.
You know what that means, John? That means in the future we're going to have someone on the podcast that says Brian McCarthy was their inspiration.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. He moves from, to legend status then. I find it interesting, and you've been at Ren how long, Brian? 20 years?
Just shy of 20 years now. Yeah.
So
it'll be 20 years.
clearly there needed to be not only good mentorship, which you received, but also a path for development. And do you think that was sort of luckily just organically found its way, or do you think there was a plan to get you from joining to where you are now? And to your point earlier, saying you wore all those hats, was that all part of the plan, or you think it just sort of naturally occurred?
It's a really good question. I think a bit from column A and a bit from column B, which I'd almost equate to my own life as much as anything else. There's only so much that one can plan for in life, and then you need to react to situations that come up, and make sure that your reaction to them is sensible and appropriate as much as anything else. So I think a little bit from column A and a little bit from column B. I go back to starting in what was then a smaller organization and growing with the organization. It did afford and me the opportunity to take on accountability earlier in my career, which I'm really appreciative for. So yeah, I think a little bit from column A and a little bit from column B.
Well, now that Ren is the size as it is, do you still think those opportunities are available? Do you have expectations of, say, your new talent coming in to spend 20 years with Ren just like you have?
Yeah, I 100% believe we'll continue to provide the opportunities to people to take on accountability. Obviously, in a larger organization, one needs to be more thoughtful around how to position that. But at the same time, people, and particularly the talent that we've seen and we've taken in, if they continue to develop, we'll certainly have the opportunities to make sure that they're able to develop their own careers within Renry, and that's what we want to do.
Do you look for a particular type of personality or talent when you're hiring, or qualities, I should say?
Teams need to be diverse in nature, because the best quality teams are teams that bounce off different skills within one another. So I think we get that balance right, and with the people that we do hire, and then just allowing them the road and the ability to take on more and more accountability, you see them success and flourish as teams.
So it's definitely working for you.
Yeah, we feel them is.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no doubt in that. I mean, it's just a very well-respected organization. If we move to our third song, we're finally going to leave the island, and we're going to come over here to the U.S. or to the U.S. I think, right? And we are going to talk about a song by the Killers called "Human." Now, before we listen to a little bit of it, and I want to ask you some specific questions about it. What made you decide to choose that song?
Yeah, again, it's almost a recurring theme here. This again is more reflective of a time of my life. This would have been quite popular around the time myself and my now wife Jeanette got married or got engaged. So she would cringe if she heard me say this, but it was probably what we thought as our song at that point in time. I really, really hope you edit that out. But it is. I guess that's the backdrop to it as much as anything else. So it was quiet. It was probably number one at the time. So it stuck with us as much as anything else.
That's fantastic. So Connie and I have said over and over, one of the reasons we want to do this podcast is because music stamps time for people with events and all of that. And you've just, once again, validated that, specifically suggesting that that song really means something to you and your wife. And it's just absolutely true. It never stops, with our guests suggesting I chose this song because of this event or this time in my life. So it's great to hear. But Human was released as the first single from the Killers' third album. It was a studio album, Day by Day and Age, in 2008. A song which debuted and peaked at 32 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2008. There was some confusion and debate over the line, "Are we human or are we dancer?" the song's chorus, due to its grammar, of all things. Mariah, can you play a bit of that, please?
Cut the cord. Are we human or are we dancer? My sign is vital. My hands are cold, and I'm on my knees looking for the answer. Are we human or are we dancer?
So debate, of course, raged across the internet over whether the lyrics said dancer, dancers, or denser, a misunderstanding which elicited conflicting interpretations of the song's meaning. On the band's official website, however, it states that Flowers is singing "Are we human or are we dancer?" and also says that the lyric was inspired by a disparaging comment made by Hunter S. Thompson, who stated that America was raising a generation of dancers afraid to take one step out of line. So that leads me to ask you, Brian, in order for our industry to be successful, we have to follow Thompson's advice and step out of line, or in the current vernacular, innovate. How would you rate the industry's success in innovation generally? And in your career, is there something that you could point to that you think really changed the game for the better?
Yeah. The industry is always innovating. Whether the pace of that is fast or slow enough for people, that will depend on the person. I was talking to somebody recently at a client dinner who was describing their early years in broking, where they were faxing submissions to markets.
Do you know what that is? Are you old enough to know that?
Yeah, the person in question I wouldn't consider that much older than me.
Okay.
So I think in that context, we are always innovating. That said, there's always room for improvement across any form of industry. Again, more of a personal opinion for myself, but the volume of trading of spreadsheets, particularly in your world, John, of schedule of values being traded in spreadsheet form as an example, one would have to feel that there's solutions and the ability to innovate, and we are seeing it more and more. But again, I just use that as an example of kind of the counter to the faxing example, where we are innovating. I think if I look back on my own career, I spent the first 10 years of my career at Renry on the risk side, so very much embedded within vendor models. And I'd use those as an example of the volume of research, development, insight, and the difficulty that is building a vendor model within the hazard component, the vulnerability component, as well as the industry exposure component. I look across the various plethora of models that are available today, and there has been huge development that has gone in there. Obviously, they're a tool within sets of tools that people have, and I would feel that using those in isolation, one would have to think about that within their underwriting. But as part of a broader set of tools, they are now market standard across the industry, whether there's the RMS or AIRs or indeed broader models that are coming on, whether on a single peril or multi-peril basis now. I think there has been massive development there within our organization, or not within the industry. So I think I look on that as kind of something that has developed over the course of my career, and where I have seen development as well as innovation in how those models have been built.
So I'm going to offer a comment here, and that is, as long as I've been in the insurance industry and Ren has been around, it has been a significant feather in your cap as an underwriter if Ren supports you. And I think that, in my mind, has always set Ren apart from as an innovator, as a leader in the reinsurance business. So I would just add that.
Yeah, I think that's generally accepted and absolutely true, Connie, for sure.
Yeah. Should we move on?
Sure.
All right. So we're going to head back to England. We can't spend too much time in the States. Mariah, can you play a bit of the next song?
'Cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. 'Cause you're a sky full of stars. 'Cause you light up the park. I don't care, go on and tear me apart.
So that song was, of course, A Sky Full of Stars by Coldplay. And Brian, that's on my commonly played playlist. So why that song for you?
Yeah, I guess my kids have recently transitioned from the wheels on the bus into appreciation of music more broadly. And I'm not sure if everybody is aware, but that song is in Sing 2, which I think was one of the first films that my oldest child saw. So as he transitioned from, I guess, Coco Melon and Wheels on the Bus to something that's a little bit more broader in choice, I think there was a little bit of delight in the McCarthy car at being able to play something different. So he embraced Coldplay, and that's why it hit the list as much as anything else.
It's great to have your kids appreciate your music, right? Because I see it in my family too. The band co-wrote and co-produced a song with Avicii, another one who's very prominent on my playlist, who recorded the piano parts of the song that you can really hear his influence in, and was released in May 2014 and was considered the band's first dance track. The song reached number 9 on the UK singles chart and number 10 on Billboard's Hot 100. When I think of A Sky Full of Stars, I immediately think of talent. Both John and I have been extremely privileged to work with you and other folks at RenRe, and the talent there is just top notch. How do you all think about talent? And do you think the industry is doing a good job generally of attracting and nurturing young talent? Now, I know we spoke about talent earlier, so maybe we ought to just focus on the industry component of that.
Yeah, I think if a step back, the industry offers attractive career propositions for anybody now who would be thinking about embarking in a career. I think if my own children came and spoke to me about it, I would be fulsome in my praise for a direction within the insurance or reinsurance spectrum. from a nurturing perspective, I do think the onus comes back to those of us, I'm going to describe us as being around for a while. I referenced this earlier of being fortunate that people invested time within myself. I think the onus does come back to ensure that the likes of myself or peers of mine within Renry and then more broadly across the industry, that we do commit that time, that energy, that experience. Even examples like, yes, I saw something similar 8 years ago in something that would come to you, and being able to play out even your own failings at that point in time or what you learned from that experience. I think that's invaluable. And I think the more that we as an industry commit that back to our talent, the more that they'll buy into it as a career, and the more that they'll flourish. And I guess at the outset of one's career, there's always an element of drudgery. That's the nature of the beast, learning one's trade. The more real you can make it and tangible to examples that have occurred to yourself over the course of your career, I think it's just awesome for people to experience as much as anything else.
Do you think that, sort of being in an office environment like when we started is important?
Yes. Yeah. I think as Zoom, Teams, the virtual dynamic, that certainly allows people to engage more and more, and particularly meetings that might be scheduled between offices, an example. But you cannot replace that dynamic of sitting alongside somebody, and even the osmosis that occurs by listening to a senior underwriter engage in a call with a broker that may come with a piece of business. That osmosis is really, really important for our talents coming through. So yeah, while all the tools that we have available to us now are fantastic, that in-office experience is crucial, particularly in that earlier part of your career.
Right.
That is my opinion.
I have when I first started in the business, I started in an underwriting training program, and the senior underwriter I was paired with, right? I sat with her every single day, going through accounts with her, hearing her thoughts and her mistakes along the way. And someone told me, I don't know if it was the woman, her name was Katie Voss. Someone said to me at the time, it takes about 10 years for you actually to develop that gut level sense from an underwriting perspective on what to do. It wasn't so much that I could learn it from a book. I needed to learn it through this sort of tribal knowledge methodology. Do you think that time frame sounds right? Do you think it's shorter now? Longer?
Yeah, I think it's variable. It will depend on the person, etc.
I was slow
And
learner.
it depends. And underwriting gut is I guess it's a feeling. And there are elements of stages of that. But I think your essence of your question is you're still learning. 20 years in, there isn't a day I'm not learning something. And all of that contributes to your gut. And I think that the younger people that are coming through know that the likes of ourselves continue to learn, and continue to learn by potentially every so often not getting it perfectly right. I just think it's a really strong signal to send. And that's where I go back to the onus being on the likes of myself, peers across the industry, just committing that time down, committing that energy down, because we'll reap the benefits in time of people coming through who will hopefully contract that time frame, Connie. But yeah, I'm really passionate about it. It's obvious. Hopefully it's coming across over the screen that it's something that I'm really passionate about and
Yeah.
really,
Yeah, we could tell.
Yeah,
And
it absolutely is.
I'm still learning. Don't worry, Brian.
Brian, to your earlier point about, you learn by doing, you learn through error. I mean, how do you get folks to sort of understand that it's okay to make a mistake so long as, say, for example, you learn from that mistake and we don't keep repeating it? And that's kind of a big, that's a big part of people's learning process. It's okay to make mistakes, but you can't keep making the same ones over and over, that kind of thing.
I think there's elements of how you allow people to make mistakes within a controlled environment. And again, that is kind of, it's up to those that are there to support people who are coming through to ensure that there is that safe environment in which to make mistakes. But as you say, John, to make that mistake once, learn from it, and then go from there. So yeah, I think it's all about creating that safer environment in which people learn. Because I guess I don't even really think of it as mistakes. I think of it as part of the learning process.
Yeah, I mean, that's well said. I mean, we are in the risk business, right? So, I mean, this is what happens. We take risk, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And then you learn from that and you continue to sort of, refine your mousetrap and, make it better the next time and the next time after that. So to your point, it is a lifetime of learning how to do insurance, right? I think it's a great career. I mean, it's a very interesting one. Some tremendous people I've met in my life and learned so much. I think it's a hidden gem in terms of careers. I don't think a lot of people think about it coming out of school, but I think that's sort of changing ever so slightly. And it needs to, because we need people. I think we're top heavy age-wise in the industry. Yeah, it's great. All right, so got a couple more tunes. I don't think we need to say much about this one, Mariah. Let's play this one. All right. Well, we don't even need to hear the lyrics on that one. That's a song that needs no introduction. It's on everyone's playlist, certainly on mine. Smells Like Teen Spirit, my Nirvana. The first couple of songs needed context, not this one. I'm anxious to hear what part of your life this is tied to, Brian.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to leave you down and say this is the first one, which just happens to fall into the category of, I just really like the song. So it is, I guess it's been omnipresent during the course of my life. So there is, it's just part of my playlist. And when I guess I probably felt it was one of the more, as you said yourself, you didn't need to add context. It was one of the more stereotypical choices as much as anything else. But I don't think there's ever a time it comes on the radio that you wouldn't turn it up. No. So I think that really kind of speaks to it being a classic song.
No, I agree. I'm sure this is true for Connie, but it's on my running playlist. It's on my, rock playlist. It's on like 4 or 5 playlists of mine. And to your point, it is one of those songs where you just grab the dial and turn it to the right until it's over. It's just a fantastic tune. It was met with acclaim and described as an anthem for apathetic kids of Generation X. That might have been me for a while. In an interview, Cobain stated the song was about his friends, explaining, "We still feel as if we're teenagers because we don't follow the guidelines of what's expected of us to be adults." It was also just kind of a teen revolutionary theme. I just, to your point, I love it. And I remember dancing to it a lot, badly, in the 90s. And if I just focus on on one word in Cobain's comment, revolutionary, I start to think of new technology and perhaps even, AI. What role do you think AI will play in shaping our industry's future?
I think AI is going to play an important part for us as humans in all our daily lives as much as anything else as we look forward. And the insurance industry is certainly part of that. I think I think about AI as of today in the property underwriting world in which I live. And I think about efficiencies. And if I think about the world, John, that you live in, tasks such as clearance, where there's a natural efficiency gains that can be gleaned from AI, and scrubbing of documents, those dynamics. I certainly see in the immediacy how the insurance industry can glean efficiency benefits in those types of processes. I also then think about insights, and as I think about insights, again I go back to the world in which you live, John, as I look in at it and think about schedule of values that are exchanged in Excel form, that are provided to X number of insurance companies and MGAs, that go into X number of exposure systems. That underlying data quality is important, as it comes then to leveraging AI to support insight on portfolios of data or large schedules of data. I think it's important that for us as an industry, that we get that underlying data quality correct in order to glean the insight benefits that could come with something like an AI.
Yeah, agreed.
To the last song, we're going to take you back to Ireland. We've chosen the final tune on your list, if you remember what that was, The Parting Glass, sung by the Clancy Brothers with Tommy Makem. Is that correct? Am I saying that right? It's an Irish drinking song. And Mariah, can you play just a bit of it for us?
I spend it in good company, and all the harm that I ever did, alas, it was to none but me. And all I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall.
Well, listen, it's a wonderful song. And doing research on it, I discovered that The Parting Glass is a Scottish traditional song, often sung at the end of a gathering of friends, just like today. It's also long been sung in Ireland, where it remains popular, and it was strongly influenced how it's sung today. It was purportedly the most popular parting song sung in Scotland before Robert Burns wrote Auld Lang Syne. So, Brian, why this song?
Yeah, early in my career, I had a colleague who played in a folk band who introduced me to the Clancy Brothers. And one evening after work, just on spec, we went across to the National Concert Hall in Ireland to see them play. And this was the final song they played. And yeah, I was just blown away on the night by it. It is something that, yeah, it's just stuck with me ever since. So I have a lot of gratitude for that colleague who's introduced me to it. And yeah, I just think it's a beautiful air, a beautiful song. And if I had a singing voice, I'd love to be able to sing it. But yeah, it is something that I just think is, I hope that my children get to appreciate it in time. So that it's that type of song that I just think is an absolutely beautiful piece of work.
When was that concert, Brian?
When was that concert?
Yeah, when did you see them? How long ago?
It must be 17, 18 years ago now. And it was very much on spec. We hadn't planned on going, and we went across, and it was, yeah, we brought down the average age at the concert by about 25 years solo, which kind of gave you a sense of the age dynamic that they were targeting at that point in time. But yeah, it was that song in particular, which was the last one they played, blew me away.
Just before Connie continues, I just want to say something. You telling the story is it's just very endearing, and the fact that you tell the story because you live that moment and you didn't hold up your phone and record them and do all the things that I see at concerts today that drives me nuts is a perfect example of why you shouldn't bother taking your phone out and just live in the moment and listen to a song, and one that means that much to you 17 years later that you happen to just go see a concert on a whim, and now you have a lifelong memory. You don't need your phones for that. And glad to know that you have those, and I think Connie has them for sure, as do I. And right now, most of my memories of concerts is watching idiots hold their phones up for hours, and instead of paying attention to the musicians. So I need to be better myself. But please, people, just go enjoy the concert just like Brian did and his friend, and not worry about having to record these things to show no one later, because no one will care. What I want to hear is your impression of it. I don't want to see it. I want to hear Brian's impression of it. And that's really the value of those moments in time of listening to music like that, is hearing you tell your story rather than you whipping out your phone and showing me a video. That means nothing to me, but your own recounting of it it's very powerful. It's awesome. So thank you for that. Anyway, off my soapbox, Connie, back to you.
Thank you for acknowledging that you are on the soapbox again.
Yeah.
As we, this is the last song, so as we prepare to depart, what's next for you, Brian, over the next 18 to 24 months?
I think more of the same, I hope. Get the opportunity to work with both people internally within Renri, but also externally, that I have a lot of respect for. And I guess almost linking back to what we talked about previously is get the opportunity to work both internally and externally with people I have a lot of respect for and that I learn from. It almost links back to the talent conversation again of in the next 18 to 24 months. I guess if I look back at the last 5 years between acquisitions, global pandemics, that we all lived through, I guess on a personal note, probably got very focused on portfolios and delivering on the portfolios that we are targeting to build over those course of that period. That really now it is back to that thought process around onus on myself to help with that next generation of talent that comes through. And I'm also lucky as I look at the young talent that we have personally within Renri, but also then broadly within the industry to go, we as a group, we're investing in, and when I say that, we as an industry, when I reference the group there, we're investing in really talented people. I guess almost I get pointed out from time to time of modesty, but the level of talent that we've come in through, people wouldn't have looked at me today if I was applying, because just such a high quality of talent that's coming in that, yeah, just that onus on myself to help those deliver on what they already have.
Well, the good news, Brian, is if you're willing to commit the time, they're going to be in great shape. So thank you for that. Really enjoyed the time. Particularly enjoyed your playlist. there were some tunes, even the Pogues tune is great. We never even got to. That will, again, all be on our Spotify playlist. You can listen to all of Brian's tunes and all of our other guests' tunes on Insurance at 78 RPM's podcast. And Brian, we thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.